I want to talk a little bit about gun collecting in general and gun shows and kind of the madness that goes on. I know the Gun Geek, he likes to point out all this weird stuff people saying, misinformation and stuff. And when you go to the gun show and deal with people face to face, it's like more intense and even 10 times more magnified. Some of the stupid shit people try to pull off on you as towards selling guns or tell you about guns. But this was the first time I went to the Greensboro Gun Show, which is a pretty large gun show in North Carolina. You know, other than Raleigh or down in Charlotte, which is a pretty large show. Those are probably the 3 biggest shows in the state. And I went this the first time I went with tables as a vendor. And basically was selling off some things that I was tired of fooling with and some parts, pieces. And I ended up selling most of the junk. I just brought the junk to fill the table up, but that's all it went. Bayonets, gun parts, gun stocks, you know, anything that was under 40 bucks sold. So I did sell a few guns, walked away with some, you know, some cash in my pocket, so it wasn't a bad deal. But what I've seen is a lot of it is people are looking for stuff cheap, and then they're going to go resell it to somebody else for like a ridiculous amount of money. And there's really, I ran across very few people out of the thousands of people that walk by that are what I call collectors or just interested in guns and like to shoot guns and that. Most people are all into some bizarre thing of money, and either they want you to lower the price on everything you have, or they just want to buy something, pay you nothing, and they'll take it to their table and put 5 times what they paid you on there, which is ridiculous to begin with. And I had people come up to me. One guy wanted to trade, another dealer wanted to trade something, and he produced a 8mm bolt action rifle, Spanish rifle or something. Nothing special. It's, you know, one of them guns that they might have sold maybe for $150, $180 max. I mean, the finish is wore off, the bluing's gone, it's all gray and everything. And he goes, check the bore out on it. And, you know, I went down there. Usually the rifling's 6 thousandths deep. It looked like the rifling was about 1.5 thousandths deep. That's how worn out it was. And he's telling me, oh, it's got a great bore. You can sell this for $350, $400. And I'm like, yeah. So then he brought me a second gun he wanted to trade, because I didn't like the first one. And he was telling me this gun had a mirror bore. So whatever they used to clean it and get all the rust out, granted the rifling was probably 3 thousandths deep, it was only half wore out, other than almost totally worn out where there was no rifling whatsoever. But he was telling me it's a mirror mint bore. Alright, so I don't know. Again, somebody told me that the guns, the tool actions are more solid. And I'm like, yeah, right. But yeah, you get a lot of that. But I did talk to some people for a little bit. Some people interested actually in guns and that, other than just buying, selling, making money, and you know, everything were 10 bucks and you know, stuff is. I'm going to do an update on the Mosin Nagant situation, at least in my area. And while I was at the show, I did find an interesting little M95 carbine. Strange thing about this one is it has it was reworked, it had most of the markings ground off, and it has, I'll take a closer look at this in another video, it has both an H and an S stamped on it, which is pretty unusual. It's probably a Budapest gun, had the H put on there and somebody added the S later so there wouldn't be any confusion maybe, I don't know. It's the carbine or the Stutzer. It doesn't have a modified stock, it's not cut down from a rifle. So it's an interesting gun. I got it. It's reasonably priced, so I grabbed it. Then I also found a guy selling some vintage ammo, and I got the Kropatschek, we'll say, that's how I'll pronounce it, whether it's right or not, I don't know. I got some of the 8x60. Now what I paid for this This guy loaded it with I think it's a 218 or 318 diameter bullet, which is wrong for that gun. But I'm going to go over on the ammunition about this. But the thing is, I got 20 reloadable cases. Basically, this ammunition isn't going to work in a gun worth of crap. But I got the cases, because the most expensive thing on reloading this is going to be getting the cases made, because it's kind of a tricky pain in the ass thing. But I'll go over that on a separate thing on the ammo, because I did purchase some original ammo. I paid $25 for 10 rounds of original ammo. It's not too bad with tarnished or corroded. So we'll have an original case, and this is the 8x56. Okay, and there's some confusion on the 8x60, 8x56. I'll go over that when I do a better look at this ammunition. But I have some originals in here to compare. And he also had 43 Dutch Beaumont. It's a couple guns I have. I haven't done anything with them yet. There's a lot of guns I got. There's only 10 rounds. I have no idea, but we're going to go over this and probably shoot the gun and see how this stuff works. Eventually, I'll probably reload ammo for it someday. And another thing, I get a lot of people calling me up. You know, I'm a hobbyist. I kind of do this for fun. I don't do this as a money-making business. I'm not a businessman. I work in a factory. My paycheck comes from my regular job that busts my ass, pays my mortgage, pays my bills. Okay, the guns and stuff is something I do in my spare time to have fun. Okay, I get a lot of people, oh, I got this gun and it's a military gun with the stock cut up, parts missing, and shows me something with a little web camera. What's it worth? What's it worth? Well, I try to help people, but after I went to the gun show and the ridiculous things that people say, gun values is a tough call. A lot has to do with the people you're doing business with and things like that. You could go to shops where, you know, old military guns that they took it on a trade or something and didn't pay anything for it. It's not what they sell. They don't know nothing about it. They don't want to deal with it, and they'll put it in the used rack pretty cheap just to get rid of it. Other people that do know a little more usually inflate the prices ridiculously, and then, you know, so there's really no way for me to just look at a picture of a gun and tell you what it's worth. Because in reality, I have no idea. Because I've seen things from, you know, I've run across stuff myself that was reasonable. To me, was reasonable, and I paid for it. Like, you know, this little carbine. People price these things upwards to $200. You know, they're probably in nicer shape than this, but I've seen them online $200-300. You can still get them for around $140, you know, from the wholesale distributors. So, you know, you could safely say it's like a $150 gun, $180 gun. Somebody's going to mark it up. They probably paid $130-40. Mark it up $40, you know. And pawn shops, another insane place. So if you really want to know what the price of your guns are, I suggest you spend some damn money. And this here Standard Catalog of Military Firearms is a price guide to military arms, and it covers a lot of the guns I have videos with. You can get this book. It's about $30, but you can get this book at Amazon.com. I think I only paid $20 for it. So go to Amazon.com. Then the other book, if you're going to be trading, buying, selling, is the Blue Book of Gun Values, and this explains grading. There's a lot of confusion with people, you know, and this covers all your standard basic civilian guns until you get into antiques, where you have to go with a Flagelman guide, which is basically from, say, the it'd be black powder guns and before, real early cartridge guns, be a Flagelman's guide of antique firearms. But this one in general covers all your modern guns, the Blue Book of Values. It changes every year. If you're going to be trading or you really want to know, or, you know, it's pretty much worth buying these books. So you have some sort of guide instead of asking, because I can't really tell somebody what they're going to, and especially not looking at it. There could be things broken or parts missing that you don't see, like an extractor or something. The gun or the bolt action rifle will work, but if your extractor's gone or your tip of your firing pin's broke off, you don't know that until you fire it, or try to fire it. There's a lot of factors that you just can't say, oh, it's worth this. And a lot of people will see a gun that, the condition, it's like in mint condition, and it's say an M1 Garand or an M1 carbine, but it's in mint condition. And say somebody wants $1,700 for it, just an example, mint condition, or a reworked National Match, which is probably even more than that. And somebody has some beat up M1 carbine with a shot out barrel and in the lowest and fair condition, and it's like, oh, I want $1,700 for it, and it's like, well, it ain't gonna work that way. So you see a lot of crazy stuff. I still like shooting and fun. I guess you just kind of gotta ignore it and just go along with the flow and do what you like to do, because it gets a little crazy. And kind of like from now on, I'm not going to answer questions on price, because I really can't give you a fair estimate or an exact value. It's a question I can't answer, and a lot of it is also what people are willing to pay for it. I could say I want so much for this gun here, and if nobody thinks it's worth it and is going to pay me for it, and I ain't going to get the money. But you might find somebody that, for whatever odd reason, thinks it's worth more and thinks you're giving them a deal, and they'll throw the cash right at you. It's crazy. But I'm going to make a few other videos about the Nagant situation and maybe do some reloading today. That's my thing on the gun collecting and gun shows.